time on Webcode 101, I'm going to show you how your website is much like your body. Stick around, stay tuned. This is Webcode 101. This is Webcode 101. Today we're talking about the human body and how it relates to a website. You might be surprised, but did you know that every website has a head, a body, and a footer? Just like every human body has a head, a body, and your feet. So let me talk to you about how I'm going to just make web coding and your human body become a bit more interesting to you. So let's start with our head. It's really the way that I like to say when I meet someone, I'm able to tell who they are just by looking at their face. So, for example, if I see Selena Gomez, I know it's Selena Gomez. If I see Brad Pitt, I know it's Brad Pitt by his face, by his head. Well, this is much like what Google wants to know when it comes to your website. It wants to know exactly who are you, what do you do, and what do you specialize in? And how does Google actually get this information besides reading what's on the body? Well, it's called the head. So let's take a look at our screen here. As you can see, I have just put up a basic HTML head code. So you'll see we open it with a doc type and we're using HTML5 for the standard for all of the videos going forward. We're going to be looking at HTML5 because it is the latest and greatest in HTML coding. Now you notice that underneath the doc type we open the tag HTML. The reason being is you really won't get a valid response back when we validate the site at a later stage if you don't do this. Then we have the most important part of a website, I think, and that is your head. Without your head, you're going to be lost. So we're going to put our head in there, and that's just called head. So we open it and close it. Now, it's important that you close every tag that you open, with a few exceptions to some of that rule. There are some tags that you don't need to close, like we're closing our head here. But we'll talk about that in a later episode. Right now, let's just look at the head. You can see on the screen I have open head, and then I have title. The title is like your name. So if we go back to the pictures for a second here, you see Brad Pitt. Now, I know that's Brad Pitt because he's told us in the past, through movies and through interviews, that this face is Brad Pitt. Well, Google needs to know that your website is your website. So I like to always say that your title is like your name. So let's go back to our code for a second. And as you can see here, we have title, my website. You can change this to whatever you want. It doesn't have to be my website. It could be ABC Learning, or it could be Sunkiss. It could be Coca-Cola. It could be Rockstar. It could be whatever you want to be. It could technically even be eBay. But it's important that the title matches your domain name. So in the case of Netcast.XYZ, we would make sure that our title was Netcast, or in our case, Netcast.XYZ, because that is our brand name. Now, you might also want to put a tagline in the title, such as the entertainment generation for Netcast.XYZ, or you might say the techie guru for maybe your website. Who knows? It's really about what you think your website really is. So then we move on to the next thing, which is our meta tags. We always need to put keywords and description. There's two meta tags that are vital to Google search engines and really anyone that wants to get a good ranking. Now, while there's many theories about SEO, and I'm not going to go into a whole explanation of SEO, a lot of people say these two tags are no longer needed, but it's always safe to play the caution game because you never know. You might just be getting scored by Google, Yahoo, or Bing, or by any search engine like AOL even. And if you miss these two tags, well, you might just fall down the page. So include them. We're going to put meta, and then we're going to put name, keywords, with an S on the end. Then we close it, and then we go content, and we put our key tags in there. Underneath that, once we have closed that meta tag, we want to put a description one. So we basically can copy and paste this. So if we copy and paste everything that we put in keywords and the whole meta tag, we just look at what we've done. What we've done is we changed the name to description, and we've changed the content to whatever the description is. Now, I'm going to leave the header tag just like that. So all we need to do now is just close the head, and we are done. That is the head of our website. Now you might say, okay, so I get that, but can you make it sound like the human body for a second a bit more? Well, let's break it down even further now. So let's look at the title. We've already discovered that the title is like you recognizing another person or your favorite animal or celebrity. Your meta tags is like, I want you to picture yourself going in for a CAT scan at the hospital. The scanner can actually see your brain, see what's happening, see if there's any imperfections in your brain. Well, Google can actually use the meta tags and meta description to actually go, okay, well, does this tag that he's actually put in the header, if it doesn't match what's in the next step, which is our body, well, then it's going to send alerts to Google and go, oh, well, maybe this site isn't so score-friendly, as in you might not get a higher score. So always check your keywords in description, because you never know, you might just have a keyword, or you might need to rephrase your description to get a higher ranking. For example, let's go on to the body, and I'll explain the head a little bit later in the episode, just so you understand a bit more. So let's look at the body tag. After we finish with the head, we want to do the body. Now, the body is pretty cool because, as you can see, I'm wearing a t-shirt. This is where our design goes. This is where sites like eBay, Twitter, Facebook, all their design elements really goes into their body tag. So how do we do a body? Well, it's pretty simple, and it's all we have to do is we open it with body and we close it. To close the tag, all you need is backslash and the tag name. So inside this body, we're going to put a header. Now, just to confuse you even more, there are many types of tags you can put in the body, but I want to make it very easy for you. See here, I have BLOED on my shirt. What I want to do is I'm going to put that into our header. So when I'm talking header, I'm talking H1. So let's put H1 and put what we just said onto our screen. To close it, we need to do a close function, which is just H1 again, but with the backslash on our screen, as you can see. Now, it's important that whatever you do, be it a paragraph, be it an image, be it embedding an iframe, you need to make sure that you close all your tags. Some tags, though, can be a little bit, well, different. Unlike an image, which you don't close it by backslash image, or you don't open it with backslash image. How do we do an image tag? We go open with img. So you've got to remember that image equals img. We're going to go into this a little bit later, but I'm going to move on to our feet right now. So our feet, these things here, people don't really pay attention to them very often unless you've got a foot fetish. Well, there are some things that online are like a foot fetish. They call it WC Validator. This website actually allows you to validate a website, and we're going to be validating all of our pages that we do in this series because it's important to make sure that we have a valid site. SEO like Google, Yahoo, Bing, Ask, and even AOL will use this to score your website. If you don't have a valid website, well, I'm gonna say this right now, you're most probably not gonna get high on Google. So, how do we make sure that we have a valid website? Well, we opened up in our header HTML. We opened it, but we didn't close it in our header. We need to close it in our feet. That's right, we need to put it down here and close it. So there you go, you've just made your very first web page if you followed along. If you haven't, don't panic, because when we come back, I'm going to show you, sit down with you, and actually do it on the laptop. So stick around, stay tuned. You're watching Webcode 101.